Hello, I think I am back after a break where I recorded a couple guest tutorials with Sarah Drasner and Val Head. Those will be published sometime in the next week. They're super exciting. One was about springs in P5.js, and one was about a framework that I'd never heard of before today called mo.js. So if anybody's actually watching this in the chat, I'm sorry, I'm like very tired. It's been a very long day. It's about 6:40 p.m. I already did a 2-hour live stream and then recorded 2 guest tutorials, and I was doing office hours all morning, so this has been kind of an epic adventure of a day. But I really wanted to come back because the coding challenge that I started earlier, I ran out of time and wasn't able to finish. And since I won't be doing another live stream until sometime next week, I really wanted to make sure that was finished so that it could be published. Mo in the chat wants a shout out. Otherwise, Mo will not feed Mo's baby nephew. And I really don't want any babies to go unfed. So I need to refill this water, which was stupid that I didn't do that before I'm starting. But let's see how I do. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on the chat and my battery level of the microphone. And I'm going to get started. Everybody wants shout outs. Jowloliki wants a shout out. Oh, Australia. What time? What I would like to know is what time is it? Has anyone watching this in the middle of the night right now? It's 6:40 p.m. I'm not doing my usual introductions that I usually do in these live streams because I did all that in the previous one I did today, although probably when these get published to YouTube, there'll be separate videos. Some of you might just be watching the beginning of this, but such is life. Okay, so let me figure out where I was before. Here I am. So this is what I ended with. Jacob's going to cry all. You guys are really pulling on my heartstrings. Jacob is going to cry all night if Jacob does not get a shout out. Midnight in the UK. Hello, UK. Okay, so this is okay. I'm stopping with the shout outs now. I'm not going to look at the chat too much. I'm going to finish up this tutorial. So I'm going to try to figure out where I left off. So this is what I have so far. I have a web application that allows you to doodle into a canvas, click save, and it saves your drawing to a database. And then it shows all the drawings that have been saved here. Okay? So I'm now going to, Mathieu, if you're watching this now or later, I am going to move into the part where I'm going to just sort of pretend to pick up as if this is one video. I don't know how easy or hard that will be, but I'm going to give that a try. If it has to be, it could be 2 parts, but I think this will just be like one long tutorial, which I think is fine. Just in case people are new or didn't watch this afternoon, I did 2 introductory Firebase tutorials this afternoon, and those haven't yet to be published. They were available live, and now they're kind of hidden on YouTube in the archives, but once those files get cleaned up and edited, there'll be the raw archive and edited versions of those that will appear online. And actually, something that I really forgot to mention, which is retrieve. Okay, let me just once Firebase. This should pull it up. This, I should have mentioned this in all of the videos, but we'll put it in as a link in the descriptions. But this is the reference page, read and write data on the web. So this reference page shows kind of all of the stuff for what I'm doing, but there's sort of more to it in terms of all the authentication stuff, which I'm totally glossing over. I should have mentioned that again. There's so much more things to talk about. Can't get to everything. Okay, and deleting data, all that sort of stuff. All right, I'm skipping. Someday I gotta like learn this promise stuff and do some tutorials about that. Okay, so I'm checking out the chat. Hello, Brazil. Okay, and I ran out of water. Okay, while people are, oh my God, so many people have just joined. While people are joining, I'm going to refill this water because I really do need, I should have done that before I started. SoundCloud, system preferences, sound, multi-output
core
device.
random algorithm, the actual random algorithm itself, those numbers aren't related at all. You pick, like, I'm picking random numbers between 0 and 10.
You guys can hear the
9, 2, 7,
I'll be right back.
6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I pick 9 a lot, apparently. But with Perl and noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6. Boy, this is like Pearl and Noise performance art. 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I think 9 1. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. Boy, this is like Pearl and Noise performance art. 7, 5, 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8. But with Pearl and Noise, I might pick numbers like this.
Okay, I'm back.
3, 4.
Oh, did I actually put on the correct music? I have no idea. Did I have no idea because I can't actually hear the audio of what was playing. I just funneled it through the live stream, so I have no idea if that was the This Dot song. But we're past that now. Okay, welcome to everyone who has just joined. I am continuing my tutorial series from this afternoon. I'm hoping this will just take about 15 or 20 minutes. It was not. Sorry, everyone. Oh well. Hopefully that was Creative Commons licensed music. Wow, my keying is really off today, but what am I going to do? I'm going to move over here. That should help a little bit. Okay, so I am now here, and Firebase console is here. Boy, and drawings are here, and okay. So I'm going to go to, first thing I want to do is add a clear button. Okay. Okay, everyone. Sorry, my brain is totally fried. As I said before, it's been a very long day, but I really want to finish this example, so I'm just going to dive right into it right now. So apologies to those of you who are just tuning in tonight. I'm continuing an example I made earlier today, which is a drawing web application that stores drawings in a Firebase database. So you'll be able to go back and watch the other stuff that I'll publish from this afternoon earlier, which will be the beginning part of what I'm going to do now. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'd like to add a couple more features to this web application before I finish up. One is I need a button to clear the drawing, because once there's a drawing here, there's no way for me to start over a new drawing. So the first thing that I want to do is just add another button, and I'm going to go to index.html, and I'll add a button. I'll call it a clear button, and I'll say clear. And then I'm going to refresh the page. We see that the clear button is there. So now what I need to do is in the JavaScript code, what I need to do is find where I'm doing stuff with buttons. And I'm going to use the same technique by using the P5 DOM libraries function select to select the clear button. And then the clear button will get an event called clear drawing. And remember, the drawing is just this array. So if I want to clear the drawing, this is a very simple thing to do. And I know I could just put an anonymous function here, but for clarity, I'm kind of just doing it. I don't know if it's actually for clarity. This might be worse, but I'm going to go down to the bottom of my code and write this callback function clear drawing. And all I need to do there is reset the array to nothing. So now I can draw something, right? I can hit clear. I can start over. Smiley face. I can hit clear. I could load up one of these drawings. I could hit clear and start over, or I could load this and I could start up on it. So you're starting to think there's a lot of possibilities here of some kind of exquisite corpse style collaborative drawing editing thing. So I don't have color. There's so much you could add to this if you want to build off of this and make some sort of exciting thing. I hope you do. Okay, so now we have the clear button. What's another feature I want to add? Well, one thing that's a bit of a problem is I'm going to add another drawing. I love hearts. So I'm going to just do some more hearts. I'm going to do a drawing with 3 hearts. Now watch what happens when I hit save. It updates the list, and it's really hard to see because again, if you're going to work on my work, I would add a name field and add a name for all these. But what you're seeing here is that it's duplicating the whole list again when I add just one. So something that I need to do, and I did this in another example recently, is I want to find where I'm creating that list, which is right here. And I want to give every one of these elements a class, and I'm going to just call it a listing. So I'm going to give this, and this is again the P5 DOM library, as a class function that gives it a listing class. And then when I I'm sorry, I'm in the right place already. So this is the part where I create that. So before I create it, I want to, and there's probably a more efficient way to do this, because I could just sort of request from the database just anything new, or I could be more thoughtful about this. But I'm just going to kind of do this thing where I clear the whole list. So I'm going to just make a variable called ELT for elements, and I'm going to do select all, and I'm going to say dot listing, and then I'm going to loop through all of those elements and call the p5 DOM library function remove, which removes the DOM element from the page. So before I generate the list, I'm going to clear it because I'm going to get all the data from the database again. So now we should have, I refresh the page, we can see here are all my drawings. And now I'm going to clear and make another drawing, which I'm going to try to make a cube. My kids love to draw 3D cubes. It's like sort of this like fascinating thing for like little kids. Okay, so I did that. I'm going to hit save, and we can see now that's just there. So dynamically added to the page. So we really gotten far along. In a way, this is done. I could say like, okay, well, I want to do something to add a feature to edit a drawing, update a record in the database, delete a drawing from the database. Those are things I'm going to leave for you to investigate. You know, again, all of the documentation for this is at this URL, firebase.google.com//read and write. So this is where you can see where are these functions on value, that sort of thing. But what I want to do, oh, and you know what? I realized I did something which I really should probably change. There's two more features. One is, this is the function I wrote earlier to show one individual drawing. So whenever I call ref.on, like I did with all the data, I'm tying an event to that record in the database forever. So if that record ever changes, this event will trigger again. And a lot of times you want that. But in this case, I might want to just only get the data from the database just once, and I can actually change this from on to once. So once will not tie that event forever, but just one time. So now I'm going to hit I'm on the wrong page. I'm going to hit refresh. Let's hopefully this still works. And you can see this still works. But if I add a drawing, it'll refresh the whole thing. OK, so we're still almost done. But something that would be really good to add to this. What if what I want to do is be able to share my drawing with somebody else? Well, right now, the only way to do that is to sort of email somebody the ID and then tell them to go to this page and click on the ID. What if I could encode into the URL something like $ID equals my drawing? And so what if each one of those drawings could have a permalink where you could share that permalink and the drawing would show up? So here's how I'm going to start doing that. The first thing I want to do is just create that permalink. So when I'm making these listings, in addition to this link that dynamically updates the drawing on the page, I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. And I'm going to say create a, but instead I'm going to say $ID equals plus key. That's the link. And then what I want it to say is I'm just going to say permalink. And then what I'm going to do, so let's do this. And we should see now, oh, and I need to parent it also. Oh, and this should be, I'll just call this perma. And I'm going to say perma.parent li, so it also goes in that list. And you can see now, I have this, and then also these permalinks. Now the spacing is all off. So obviously with CSS and thinking about styling and being more thoughtful about the HTML, I'm just going to do something quick, which is like perma.style. This is a P5 DOM library for adding some CSS styles. I don't know, maybe if I just add some padding, will that do it? Make it, I can differentiate between those two. Yeah, so now I can see I have the permalink and the actual, so this is now showing me the drawings. And now if I click on one of these, it goes to the page, but the drawing does not show up. But look what happens. It creates a URL query string with ID equals this. So I can have the page read that URL query string. How do I do that? Well, there's lots of ways you could do it. But since I'm using the P5JS framework, there is a P5JS function for this. So I'm going to go to the p5js.org/reference. Whoops, that's the website, reference. And I'm going to have to look for this. URL, so get URL params. So there's three functions here, but I can actually just get the parameters that are on the page in an object. So if I look at the reference for this, all I need to do is call get URL params. So I'm going to do that in setup. So I'm going to come back here to setup, and I'm going to say well, I'm going to do this right at the beginning, actually. And I'm going to say params equals get URL params. With this right? And I'm just going to say console.log params. So I'm going to go back to the page. Here I am into the code. I'm going to open up the console so I can see it. I'm going to hit refresh. And you can see this is what came in. An object with a field ID, which is the key from the database. That's all I needed. Perfect, right? So, and you can see that if I delete that from the URL path and just go, I'm getting an empty object. So what I can actually do here is I can say, if params ID exists, if that object has an ID, then first of all, this has got to happen. This has got to happen after I connect to the database. So I'm going to do this down here. And then, didn't I already have a function that's like show drawing? Right? This shows a drawing for a particular key. Now here's the thing. I should probably give this an argument. So I'm going to put argument here. So if I already have the key, if I don't have the key, right, this is a way of having a function optionally take an argument. So on the one hand, it's an event that comes from that link and it gets the key from the DOM element, but I can also just call that function with a key. So I can say, if I don't have the key, then key equals this. Otherwise, though, if I just create it with the key, and so where do I do that in setup, right? So much scrolling. Right here, if I have an ID, I can just say now show drawing with params.id. So this should now, and let's see if this works. Let's do console.log params.id. So make sure that this actually goes here. So let's just look to I'm now loading it and it's empty, so I don't see anything, and I can still, oops. All right, first argument was an invalid path. So I messed up that function somehow. Let's see what happened here. Oh, you know what? It must have arguments when it's as the callback. So this didn't work. What a nice idea. Let me actually figure this out. And this would make this video a little bit longer, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let's look at the arguments array. You can always say arguments to look at what are the arguments for a function in JavaScript, whether you've specified them as actual parameters in the function definition or not. So what I want to do is do this, click on here. So the argument, it passes it a mouse event. So, so the first element is a mouse event. So I can probably say something like, if key is an instance of, this is really silly what I'm doing when I could just write a separate function. But let's see if this works. I don't know if that actually is going to work. If key is an instance of a mouse event. Let's see what happens there. Oh, that worked. So what I'm doing now is I'm repurposing the same function for two different uses. On the one hand, I want to be able to call the function with a key. On the other hand, I want this function just to happen as part of a mouse pressed event. And key, when I call it with a key, will actually be a key. Otherwise, it might be a mouse event. So I'm going to override whatever it is by getting it from HTML if it is. So now we can see I've got the blank object and everything works, but I can now go to the permalink, which refreshes the page and gets that because the key comes in, permalink. So every time I refresh this page, it comes up with that particular drawing, and I could, once again, I'm going to say that again. Every time I refresh the page, it could come up with that drawing, and I could add something to it, like it could make this a weird alien face or something. And I'm going to hit save. And now I have all these drawings. Here are all my drawings I could click on, and let me make this a little smaller so you can see them. I can click on all the drawings, and I have a permalink to all these drawings. So how do I control click or option click? It'll open in a new, command click, it'll open it in a new tab. So I'm command clicking on all of these, and we can see there's separate pages that load these drawings from the database automatically. So this really brings us to the end of this tutorial. This is a P5JS sketch that allows users to create their own drawing. I can write a message to you all. Thank you. I was going to try to write thank you for watching, and that's going to take me way too long. Plus my doodling mouse handwriting is terrible. thank you. I can make a drawing. I can hit save. It adds it to the database. I can, on the same page, click between the drawings, and I can also get a permalink. So this page, anytime I refresh the page, starts with that drawing. And I could obviously make a separate page. I could make a, here's what you should do if you're watching this and want to do an exercise. Grab this code, it'll be in the description linked. The code for this will be linked on GitHub. Obviously you'll have to create your own Firebase database. I'll probably take out the keys, I guess. But rework this to make a separate view that shows like a gallery of all the drawings. And there's been a lot of wonderful collaborative drawing applications on the web. I'm thinking of Aaron Koblin's Sheep Market, I think. I'll link to that in this video's description as well, as you can see as a kind of nice inspiration for this kind of project. So thank you for watching. And I don't know if this might have ended up being a long video. I've lost my bell. But that concludes the database P5JS sketch for saving a drawing into a database and having a gallery of drawings example. If you make something with this, please share it with me on Twitter @Schiffman. Please share a link in the comments, ask your questions in the comments, and look forward to seeing you in another video tutorial soon. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, how was that, everybody? That was okay, yes? Any questions? So it is 7 p.m. I have live streamed for a total of almost 2.5 hours today, which is quite a bit. But I do need to get going in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But I would be happy to try to answer one or two questions in the chat. It's very hard for me to read the chat, especially when it's got a lot of people in it. But I'll try to keep an eye on it. But while I am waiting, I will also just mention again, I want to mention to you guys the Processing Fellowship since I'm here. Processing Foundation is a non-for-profit organization that I work with that develops processing and P5JS. Sorry, it has a wonderful mission statement. I'm too tired to explain everything about the Processing Foundation, but we're running a fellowship program, and you can read information about it on the website processingfoundation.org/fellowships. It comes with a stipend to work on a project in the spring. So check that out. I'm going to look at the questions now. I have my own YouTube programming channel. Can I use this same format as video as you are using also on my channel? I don't see why not. I don't have any ownership over this idea of using a green screen. So if I can inspire people to think about making programming tutorials, I think that's great, and I encourage you to do so. Do a video showing your studio. This is the most requested thing, and I keep forgetting to do this. So I don't know how to remember or when to carve out the time to do this, but you guys should all keep asking me about that. I'm looking at the chat. It's nice to see all these lovely messages of support. I really, really appreciate it. I'm just checking my phone here. So people are asking about translating the videos. So and also there's a question of where did I learn? So let me answer both of these questions. One is I learned to program a couple different times. I did actually learn when I was a kid in middle school. I programmed a little bit in BASIC, and I used the Logo programming language, Turtle Graphics language. This was kind of in the 80s. And I then really started programming when I became a student at ITP. So that's itp.nyu.edu, and that's the program where I teach right now. I first discovered processing there when through JT Nimoy, who did a workshop on one of the first public workshops on processing at ITP in 2003, and also Amit Pataru, who taught a class called Code and Me at ITP, and those were some of the first instances of processing. And then I started working with processing from seeing their work, and just never stopped. What do you recommend to start with? What programming language? This is this is a great question. I don't have an answer for it. So the answer is whichever one looks good to you. I think doing JavaScript is great because you can publish your stuff on the web really quickly. Python is a super friendly language. Processing has tons of video tutorials that I've made, and is a great community, especially if you're interested in art and visual design. And processing is built on top of Java. So all of these things I think are great choices. But really, if you've just found one that you like and you found a tutorial or a book or a friend who's willing to teach and work with you, then that's the one you should use. Translating and captions. I'm sorry that I'm missing some of your questions, and I will I apologize for that, but one day I'll get a system for maybe getting these things submitted in advance, and then I can kind of read through and moderate them better. So one thing I'll mention on YouTube is you can, I don't know how to, pull this up. I'm going to open up my channel. But if you're looking for, so this is me live right now. If you're looking for a way to contribute, or you have a way that I could actually even like pay for this kind of service in a kind of reasonably priced way, I would love to have all of my videos captioned in English to make them more accessible, as well as translated to other languages. And you as a user can actually submit captions online. And I have a link, I'll put it in this video. I think if you're on a video, there's a place, I have it enabled where you can just, I don't want to look for it right now, where you can just add a caption. YouTube has an interface for you doing that. So please, if you want to do that, you all have permission to do that. I mean, I'm getting the benefit of that. So you might, thank you for volunteering, but I also don't want to ask too much of people's time just to volunteer and do something for me for free. So if you think you want to spend a lot of time doing this and want to get in touch, I can figure out a way to do that, what that makes sense too. But I definitely take voluntary contributions. Watched your Git videos. How do I merge branches with conflicts? Very, 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 very carefully. There's not really, I don't really have a great answer to that. I definitely need to do a video sort of demonstrating that. When I have a conflict, what I do is I actually open up the files manually in a text editor, and I kind of like just go through it manually and do my detective work to figure out what went wrong. And they'll usually show you, here's code. It'll be like, there'll be these weird like, lots of like dashes and extra characters that are part of the indicating there's a merge conflict here. And if you edit that file and clean it up and then do another commit, that's kind of the way I work. There are tools that help you with this, but that's generally the way I do it. If one were to translate, what series do you recommend? I guess I prefer people to start with the beginner series that I have. And my beginner playlists are these JavaScript ones, 1 through 6, and then these as well, and then the learning processing ones. So a lot of these have been captioned already, but any of these, it's kind of, if one interests you and you feel like watching it, then you might as well translate it. Or caption it. I mean, English, translating is great, but the reason why I ask for English captions is it also makes the translator's job so much easier if there are already English captions. So if I could get everything English captioned, then people can translate it more easily. I did. So Dyslexiklama, I don't know if I'm asks, can you do a GitHub for beginners video? I have that. So right here, I wish I had a better way for people to find my videos, but here on my channel, I have Git and GitHub for Poets, and these are total beginner introductions to Git and GitHub. You don't need to know anything about it whatsoever, and I have more to do, but you can see these are some of my lesser watched videos. So that I certainly encourage you to watch that. Have you made a tutorial on how to install P5.js? That's a great question, Scott. This is a tricky question because unlike processing, which really is a desktop application that you run, even though processing is also just a library for Java, P5.js is just a library for JavaScript. So there's actually nothing to install because you can code it in any text editor coding environment whatsoever. Let me go to the P5.js homepage and show you what I mean by that. So if I go to download, this download will download all of the library files and an example project, but will not come with a code editor. So this example project is something that you just need to open in Sublime Text, Atom Editor, TextEdit, Notepad, anything, and then run like a local web server to like see the result in your browser. And I have a couple videos that demonstrate how to do that on a Mac at least, and you'll find tutorials also on the P5.js wiki page. There's a website and wiki page for running a local server. If you Google like local server P5.js, those will probably come up. You can also get the individual library files, and then there is also an actual editor. So this is an editor that you can download and run as an application, and it will sort of like make your project for you, and it has a little play button that will launch like a little browser window. But you should not be misled by the fact that you don't need this to do JavaScript programming, but this is a place that makes it easier to get started. I'll also mention that coming soon, we're going to release a web editor. You should just go right to a website, sign up for an account, and write P5.js code right in a browser itself. So that's kind of coming soon, and we're phasing out some support of this desktop editor until we've got a web editor in shape, and maybe we can return back to it. So that's kind of my answer to that question. You can also use CodePen. I think I did a tutorial about CodePen in P5.js at one point, and there's lots of other web editors as well. I do have a Cellular Automata Conway's Game of Life video already. I would love to do that again, though. Okay, so it's I tend to use Atom Editor. Sometimes I use Sublime, and I use the P5.js editor. I use everything. I love the processing IDE. I mean, you can't do JavaScript in it. You can do JavaScript in it. So here's another way you could do it. Let me show this to you real quick. Because Ben Fry made this, and this is going to take me a minute. Because I want to make sure I have the latest processing. I don't think I do. I cannot bear. And by the way, Processing is a non-profit foundation, so feel free to. We'd love to, if you're able to donate to help support fund these projects to Processing, which will prompt you when you go to download. I'm going to download this version, and let's see. Oh, it's coming in real fast. Brackets is great too. Sorry, that's a great example of an editor. I've used that as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that was. You should thank Ben_Fry on Twitter for this wonderful thing that he did. Which I have actually not tried yet, so this is exciting. And I probably should make this like a video tutorial, but I'm too tired. It'll just be found here in the archive of this live stream. So I'm going to move this to the desktop here, replace, and I'm going to run the latest version of Processing. I have no idea what's going to happen. This is exciting. Yes, I want to open this. So Processing, by the way, is a Java. There's so much to say about Processing. Processing.org. I'm too tired to talk anymore. Okay, so I'm going to open up. Actually, I'm not going to open up an example. I'm going to go here. Processing has modes. So you can actually, in Processing, which is Java-based, it also has a Python mode, which allows you to write your code in Python. It has an Android mode, which allows you to publish your processing sketches to Android. And I'm going to add this. Add mode, P5.js mode. So this is another way you can work on P5.js sketches. I'm going to add this mode, and hopefully it'll install. I hope this works. I'm going to switch to P5.js mode, and look at this. It already put in function and draw. Oh, and it has an index.html. This is amazing. Oh my God, @Ben_Fry on Twitter. This is awesome. I'm going to just write some code. Create canvas 400, and background 0, ellipse. Actually, you know what I'm going to get? I'm going to just go copy paste something. So I'm going to get my Philo-Taxis example, which is under coding challenges in my GitHub repo. Challenges, Philo-Taxis, P5.js. Whoops. Sketch.js. Raw. Let me copy paste this. Copy paste this here. Hit save. Philo. I'm just going to put this on the desktop. Testing, P5.js mode. And now I'm going to run this. What happens when I hit play? Look at that. That is fantastic. So it runs a little local server. And if I were to do something like, just to change something real quick, like let's, I don't know, change the size of these ellipses and give them a little bit of alpha and hit save. If I refresh this, yeah. And now, there you go. So whoa, so hopefully I'm not hypnotizing everything. So that's great. Well, I should use this more in like video tutorials. This is fun. What happens if I have an error? It's worked somehow. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hit save. I'll have to investigate this more. But that's so great to see. Okay, so now it's been a half an hour. I've been over 2.5 hours today. I do need to get home and get some sleep. I have 2 classes doing their final project presentations. I probably have a zillion emails from students with questions. So I'm going to take a look at those and get home. Thanks for tuning in. Everything that I did today will be published. Will be published on my channel, so subscribe if you want alerts about that. It'll come in the next week. I expect to do a live stream again next week, but I don't know what day yet. And I will announce these things on Twitter @Schiffman. And I also do have an email list that I sometimes send announcements to, which you can sign up for at codingrainbow.com. And of course, if you also want to support the work that I'm doing, absolutely, only if you feel so inclined. I do have a Patreon that you're welcome to subscribe to if you feel so inclined. But I'm just glad that you're watching and that you're here. And maybe if you give some feedback, whether it's good or bad, in a nice and constructive way, I also appreciate that. Okay, so I will see I will see, okay, so I'm gonna answer 3 quick questions. I plan to do neural network tutorials this spring. My studio is not in my office at NYU. I teach at itp.nyu.edu. It's here at the School for Poetic Computation, which is an independent artist-run school called sfpc.io. If you're in the New York City area, the show of the students' work is actually happening this weekend, so you should come and check it out. And what version of processing.js does Khan Academy use? So I'm not exactly sure about this. Khan Academy has their own staff of developers who handles this stuff. I'm pretty sure they use something called processing.js. I know that's very confusing. This was a project started originally by John Ressig, and it's a JavaScript version of processing that actually has hooks in it to auto-translate your processing code to JavaScript. I don't know if they're shifting to P5.js. I'd be curious about that as well. Both environments are great, and I know that processing.js has worked really well for them. Okay, GitHub is a great place for code challenges. Okay, I am 43 years old. Okay, so I answered all of these questions, and now I am going to say goodbye. I will play you out with my cringe-worthy intro video, and I will see you all next week. Okay, and I hope to see you someday in a live stream, or in a video, or in a comment, or on Twitter sometime. And maybe I'll meet you in person and give you some stickers. Okay, goodbye.
Throw your hands up in the air and say enough's enough. Do you want to learn to code and make some awesome stuff? Learn that anyone can when you're coding with Dan on. Whether you're a pro or this is all brand new, learn the overarching concepts and some fun stuff too. And with Dan as your guide, come along for the ride on. Make a crazy pixel mirror to reflect your face. You can make it jump to light speed into outer space.